Be warned that once you pick up a refreshingly cold drink from McDonald's and people see just how refreshingly cold that drink from McDonald's is, you may create drink envy. Because there are drinks, then there are drinks from McDonald's.
For a morning brew that really creates a stir, get any size iced coffee, including caramel and French vanilla, for just 99 cents before 11 a.m. Price and participation may vary, cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Streamed and Screened, an entertainment podcast about movies and TV from Lee Enterprises. I'm Terry Lipshetz, managing editor of the National Newsroom at Lee and co-host of the program with Bruce Miller, editor of the Sioux City Journal, longtime entertainment reporter, well-traveled, and, of course, the co-host of the second best podcast in all of Iowa. Oh, it's like a dagger through the heart, Bruce.
Yes. Stab me right away. I got back from good, and now you're trying to just be mean to me?
We weren't quite good enough. Like, we were so close. But now I know what it feels like to be Susan Lucci. Like, we were nominated.
You were there. But, we were the best entertainment podcast. So does that give us something?
Yeah. I mean, we were if you go off of that, we got beat by a political podcast in Iowa. So that means we are the number one entertainment podcast in all of Iowa.
During the caucus season, I might add.
Yeah, we're not going to beat the caucuses.
How do you do that?
No.
Yeah. So maybe we'll do a little politics one of these times, and then we'll have a very special politics edition.
We should. And I did wonder, did somebody do a little research and realize I'm not actually based in Iowa? I'm in Wisconsin. I'm across the river.
Well, then let's enter it in Wisconsin.
We should. We could do it everywhere.
Right. We'll see what happens. One of those states has got to jump, right?
Someone has to like us, right?
You like me. You really, really like me.
No, but it's exciting. I mean, is what the Iowa Press Association?
Iowa Newspaper Association. Yes. They just had their competition. And the Journal did really well. We were real thrilled with the awards. But in the podcast category, second place.
Second place. But you know what? It's everybody's podcasting these days, right? So just to be second place, like we knew for a few weeks now that we had made like the top three, so we were going to definitely place. So that's exciting. It's good news. And I think it reflects well on the quality program we're providing for you, the listener.
Okay. Now, could we add a theme song? Because I have a little something that might be of interest to you. I was in California this last week, right? And we went to a bunch of sets. And at the end of one of the periods, we were having lunch. And they came over and they said, we have a little surprise. A surprise guest is coming over. You might be interested. Okay. So the surprise guest arrives. It's Jennifer Hudson.
Oh.
She's taping her show on the lot. And she said, I want to teach you a song. And we learned a little song. And then she said, now we're going to come over to the set and we're going to sing the song. And I was one of the 5 people she picked to go over there.
Wow.
Well, then they said we couldn't be on the show, so they canceled that. And I said, Jennifer, come on. We get all cooked up about this. You've got to do something for me. You've got to sing. And I'm telling you, I'm not going, from Dreamgirls. She said, okay, I'll sing it, but you have to sing with me.
Oh, boy.
So somewhere in the ether, there is a version of Jennifer and me duetting on, and I'm telling you, I'm not going.
Wow.
And I kept up with her. I wasn't on key, but I kept it up with her. And you, you're gonna love me. Yeah. So we sang together and we have pictures together somewhere. Again, if you want them, I'll send them to you. You'll be able to see what that's all about.
Jennifer Hudson went home that night and she's like, you are not going to believe the day I had today. It was awful.
What in the world am I put through? I mean, what do I have to do to get the bucks, right?
Wow, that's exciting. So, I mean, obviously, you're on a bit of a press tour. You're out checking out the sites. So, spill it. Who did you meet? Where did you go? Who did you rub elbows with?
We were everywhere. Yeah, the Television Critics Association meets twice a year. And you get a chance to interview the stars of the upcoming shows, and you get to go to the sets of some of the shows. You get to we went to a premiere of Queens, which is a National Geographic series about how females of different species are really the dominant one in the species. And it's a documentary that's really good, very good. It's narrated by Angela Bassett. And of course, we rubbed elbows with Angela Bassett. And they showed the first episode at the Academy Awards Museum. So we're in that big place. And there were a lot of, oddly enough, sitting in front of me were a bunch of former bachelors and bachelorettes. I have no clue why they were there, but they were invited, just like they probably had no clue why I was there. And near us was Bobi Wine, I believe his name is. He's the subject of a documentary that's nominated for Best Documentary. He was a musician in Uganda who ran a political campaign against the current regime. And they didn't want him to win. And they made sure he didn't win. And there was a documentary made about him, and him and his wife, Barbie. And they were there too. And I kept worrying that some terrorists would start breaking into the theater and somehow want to take him hostage. And there we were, very nearby. But we'll talk about it as we get closer to the time, because it was nominated, has a good chance of winning. And I think he's spending the month of February in Los Angeles campaigning for this documentary.
Wow. Yeah. And actually, as you were talking, I'm like quietly Googling to the side here. Bobi Wine, the people's president. I just clicked on the little plus button on Disney Plus and added it to my up next, because that sounds like a fascinating documentary that I absolutely need to watch.
It is. Yeah. It's one of those things where you think, how are these other countries dealing with things like social media and how it plays into their elections? But he's a very nice man, and so is his wife. She's very cordial, and they talk about the kind of trouble they've had to deal with and how they've been targeted by other politicians in the country. So he was an entertainer and then decided he was going to try his hand at politics.
Be warned that once you pick up a refreshingly cold drink from McDonald's and people see just how refreshingly cold that drink from McDonald's is, you may create drink envy. Because there are drinks, then there are drinks from McDonald's.
For a morning brew that really creates a stir, get any size iced coffee, including caramel and French vanilla, for just 99 cents before 11 a.m. Price and participation may vary, cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. And, not to segue too much, but it is fascinating. There's been a lot of musicians over the years who've kind of delved into politics, like Youssou N'Dour, who recorded with Peter Gabriel. He ended up, I think he's from Ethiopia, and he's had a political career after, or kind of in between music. The lead singer to the alt rock band Midnight Oil I think they're from Australia. He held an office, I believe, in Australia for a while. So it is fascinating when musicians or other they kind of use their art as a platform.
Look at Kanye.
Yeah, right. Kanye ran for president, sure. But anyway, what else did you?
So we went there, but then we got to visit the sets of a number of series. And, that's, if you've never been on the set of any kind of a show, it is fascinating to see how different it is from, what you see on television. Normally, they are like three-sided. Some have audiences where you could actually go and watch a show. We went to the set of Night Court, and that's one of those audience participation kind of shows where you watch as the action happens. But we also went to Abbott Elementary. Now, if you ever watch Abbott Elementary, it looks like it's shot in a school. And they have made the set so that it is actually like being in a school. There are 4 walls on all of the things. You walk down the hallway, you open the door, it's a classroom. You walk down to another one, it's another classroom. So it's very much like real life. And they just have those handheld cameras that are following the actors around, and that's how they capture the action. But that was fun to see, because I did not think it was that confined. I was on the set of The Office a number of years ago, and that was actually in an abandoned kind of office building. I think it was in Pacoima, if I'm not mistaken. They actually filmed in a real building. And this was on a set, but the set was built to look like a school. And the walls are dirty. They've got all these pictures of the kids have drawn that are hanging on the walls. And yeah, it's fascinating, very fascinating to see. But they differ like that. So sometimes you'll have a place for the audience to sit. Sometimes you won't. Sometimes it'll be done like a house. It'll be like an apartment. A lot of different kinds of things. And then you can just wander around. It's like, for me, hey, it's heaven. And you take pictures. I'll have a lot of galleries at some point of all the different shows that we saw. And, at times they'll let you actually sit where, one of the kind of iconic places. Like now with Night Court, I got to sit in the judge's seat. That was fun. We were at 911, and they had all these emergency vehicles outside, and I had a picture taken with a helicopter and a fire truck and a police car. All looked like they'd crashed together. So you kind of go to those places. But we took our last visit to Young Sheldon, and they were talking about what the future could bring for that show, because really they're not done with it. There's still more story to tell between this one and where it hooks up with Big Bang Theory. And so there was a lot of speculation, but they wouldn't agree to tell us anything. Another one like that has, what's the story about this, is Bob Hart's Abishola. And they are adamant that they want to keep doing more shows. But CBS has said this is their final season on CBS, so they're going to try and sell it somewhere else. So you could see that show turn up on another network. It could be on a streaming service. It could be something, because they don't think that story has been completed yet. So it's fun to see that, and how really kind of basic the sets look. But now we went to Not Dead Yet. You know that one where it's about the woman who writes obituaries and dead people come to life and kind of interact with her? Gina Rodriguez. And she was there. She had her son with her. She was pregnant during the first season. They had to kind of cover her up all the time with, she'd hide behind a barrel, or she'd have a whole bunch of papers in front of her. And the son was there, Charlie, and he fist bumped me. So the kid is already learning how to do things. I think he'll be an actor on the show. But they have a wine bar that they go to all the time called Crickets. And it actually set up like a real bar. You could go in there, and they didn't have a sink, but they did have a lot of liquor bottles. And I think if we sat down and we had a heavy pour, we would be enjoying the show even more. I mean, we hit a lot of them. And that was just in one day we hit a lot of them. You're on a tour or something. But when we're out there, we learn a lot about what's coming up and what's kind of in the pipeline. Paramount Pictures are letting go of hundreds of people. And so that says that some of these shows, they've got to make way for something cheaper, which would be game shows, reality shows, yes. And in the reality line of things, Lisa Vanderpump. How familiar are you with Lisa Vanderpump?
The name sounds familiar.
Real Housewives.
Oh, sure.
Beverly Hills. She was one of the OG Real Housewives in Beverly Hills. Well, then she got her own show called Vanderpump Rules.
Rules, yeah, okay.
And that's where the kids are all fighting and they work for her and whatnot. She's got a new one now called Vanderpump Villas. And they go to France and they run this kind of high-end resort, for lack of a better term, for rich people. And then, of course, the help is all young and good-looking and interacting with each other. We met two of them. And I said, what did you do before this? She said, oh, I was a server. I said, yeah, but come on down. But I really want to act. Is that what the bottom line is? She said, no. This is what I do. This is what I do. And, in a heartbeat, that isn't what she does. But then I asked Lisa about the whole thing. And Lisa said, if the people are spending big money to come to this place, you can't have people who don't know what they're doing. So we had to make sure when we cast this show, it wasn't just because they were good looking or because they might be able to tip a table or cause a problem or whatever. So she said, we made sure that they had those skills. But when you see the clips for the show, and it'll come out this spring, Vanderpump Villas, you'll see that they can't be that good at doing all this stuff. So that, that's what we're seeing is reality is going to be taking over in a lot of these situations. Then documentaries have become bigger than we ever thought. And I think that's because they can just purchase them. And the networks are digging into this as well. They're finding these independent filmmakers who are making documentaries, and then they're planning to run them in a number of situations. So that's what we're looking at. But so many of the shows that you've been waiting for will be back. They're all going to be back, but probably for like 10 episodes. We talked to the rookies, and they have a reduced order, but they're all ready for it. Will Trent, I don't know if you're familiar with Betty, but Betty is the dog on Will Trent and has become the biggest star of them all. Her real name is Belle, and she's real good. She poses for pictures better than I do. She was, very, whatever they had to do, and then they'll give her a treat, and she's good. But I must give you a back on this. I have met a lot of dogs in Hollywood, and after I meet them, dead. So the Modern Family dog, dead. So after you've had a picture taken with me, chances are good that dog is going to be dead.
Wow, that's you are a bad omen.
I think I am. Caesar Millian, you know him? He's a...
Oh, yeah.
He was there, and he brought pound dogs with him that he hadn't, were looking for homes. And he thought for sure that there's one I should have had. I am not a dog person, so I was not going to haul a dog back on the plane, but you got to hold them, and that was good. And then I met two mice, Mickey and Minnie. Yeah, hi, boys and girls, how are we? I thought there was trouble in paradise, but they're doing well. And I met Bluey. Are you familiar with Bluey?
Sort of. My kids are past the Bluey stage, but my wife teaches 4K, so she's tried to explain Bluey to me, but I don't get it.
Well, and something that has to do with the colors, too, that I'm not so sure about. But Bluey was kind and fun, and I believe Bluey is made somewhere else. I think it's is it Australia?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's Australian.
There was a yellow thing with him, and I wasn't sure if it was, do you know who the yellow character is?
I don't have any clue.
Is it a cat? I'm not sure.
A jackal, I don't know.
And I'm low on my references. And I met a whole bunch of PBS kid series things.
That's fun.
I don't know who they are either.
You didn't meet Caillou, did you? Are you familiar with Caillou? Let's not talk about Caillou. Caillou... It was a kid's show. It's from Canada. He's a bit of a whiny kid, so we'll.
Oh well, maybe he'll be back. He'll be back.
I tried to steer my kids away from Caillou as much as possible because it just was not the most enjoyable thing to watch.
That's not good. But yeah, so we met a lot of those kinds of characters. PBS. Wait till you see what PBS has coming. A lot of stuff, and in the process of that, Masterpiece Theater has a new series that's contemporary. It's not set in the Downton Abbey era, and it's called Alice and Jack. And it's about a couple who meet, are together, split up, meet 5 years later, how their lives have changed. I mean, it's a constant kind of shift in this. And it stars Andrea Riseborough. She was nominated last year for Best Actress for To Leslie, a movie called To Leslie. And I had the best time with her. We talked all about the Oscars. In fact, get those people on the Oscar track and you're going to hear more things than you know. But she talks about what that period is, and we'll bring that out sometime before the Oscars happen. A lot of Oscar nominees I got a chance to visit with, so that was good. But I must tell you now, I'm giving you spoilers in case you're interested. Young Sheldon has an episode. This is their last season. They have an episode coming up that deals with TARDIS from Doctor Who. Now, do you remember anything from Big Bang Theory that involved Doctor Who?
Doctor Who is a series that I never quite got into, but it's one that obviously plays very well within, the universe of Big Bang Theory, and it's, super popular sci-fi.
Well, there will be a very special episode that features that. So be ready for it, because that will be a little spoiler. They're going to wrap it up, but they don't really know how they're going to wrap it up, what the final episode is going to be like, but they're working on it. Ian Armitage, he's the young kid who played young Sheldon. And really, it was not his idea to become an actor. His mother had him do some lines from Big Bang Theory. She sent it in. You should see the kid now. He's like as tall as Jim Parsons. He sounds like Jim Parsons at times. And he plans to keep on acting, even though he would love to be a magician. That for career change. But his dad is on Broadway right now as the king in Hamilton. There's show business in that blood. But he will go on and do something else. What it will be, who knows? But I did get to talk with Montana Jordan. Now he's Georgie on the show. He plays Sheldon's older brother. There is talk, and again, now these are not verified, so I can't tell you
These are rumors.
what happened. But this is I sound like Rona Barrett. Now, if you remember who Rona Barrett was, it's Tinseltown is all talking about. Yeah. Well, so this is what the scuttle is that his character would be spun off into a sequel. So he plays kind of the deadbeat brother. And if you may remember on Big Bang Theory, his brother was played by Jerry O'Connell. And he had did he have like a auto parts thing, or he made lots of money, but he's dropped out of school. He has a child, so there are a lot of issues there that they could discuss that are different from young Sheldon going off to college. And so I got a chance to talk to, his name is Montana Jordan. And yes, he does have that accent. He sounds like he's from so far south, he's practically in Mexico.
Yeah, well, you sent me the audio for it so I could hear it before we talked about the thing, but you didn't. It just said like audio clip, and you had no reference to what it was. So I'm just like, well, what mystery am I unboxing? So I click it, I'm listening, and everything. Wait, are you talking about Larry the Cable Guy? Because it kind of sounds a little bit like that, but I think no, it sounds like way too young to be Larry the Cable Guy. And then some of the references he was making, it's like, well, this is definitely not Larry the Cable Guy. But so when we hopped on, what did you send me? Because
what is this?
What is this?
Well,
but that makes more sense.
It's on the set, so if you hear noise in the background, we're on the set, and so we only could grab them for a few minutes. People like Annie Potts, who plays Meemaw on the show, she's very sad this is ending because she said it was like a family for her. But this Montana Jordan, he thinks that there could be a future in something like a spinoff. So here's a chance to hear what he had to say about being on Young Sheldon. How fun has this been?
It's been great. It's like, I couldn't ask for a better people to work with. And ever since the beginning, we've always been a family. And it's safe to say that it was love at first sight for everybody.
Do you think about what my next thing is going to be?
I don't stress about anything. I put all my trust in the Lord, believe in the Lord, and I put all my trust in Him. He'll do me right.
Well, was acting always in the back of your mind that someday you would do it or not?
I did my first thing when I was 12, and I had never thought about doing anything like it. And then I did a movie with Josh Brolin and Danny McBride when I was 12 years old. And then after that, I just got a manager from that and just picked up from there. So
Come on, that's not the way it's supposed to be.
I know, man. That's what I'm saying. I'm thankful and I'm blessed for everything that has been given to me.
How do you retain the accent? Because I'm sure living out here...
Well, I tell you the secret. I'm out here to film, and that's the only reason I'm out here is to film. I go straight back to Texas.
And then you can get it all back.
Yes, sir. It comes back real fast.
Would you like to continue with this character? Would you like to be part of a sequel if they did that?
Yeah, I think Georgie and Mandy, that whole storyline has a lot more that could be told from it.
Sure.
And I think everybody knows that. And I don't know, we'll just have to see where it goes. But
yeah. The whole unwed parent kind of thing is a story that needs to be told, and it really isn't on television.
Right. Yeah. I think a lot of people, if it did end up happening on something of that storyline, I think a lot of people enjoy it and a lot of people will relate to it.
What will you miss about this show?
Oh, I miss everything. I miss the people I work with. I miss not even, when I say the people I work with, I'm not even saying just the actors. I'm saying even people behind the scenes. Everybody's so down to earth. Everybody's so great to work with. You come to work, you're not dreading to come to work every day. You're excited when you wake up to come to work to a place like this.
Have you thought, what am I going to steal from the set?
Oh, I'm thinking. I'm still thinking.
You don't have the list yet?
I don't have a list yet, but I'm thinking on it.
Very good. Well, thank you so much.
Bruce, thanks again for that interview. Fascinating. Sounds great. I am disappointed that show, I do have to get caught up. Like, I watched religiously the first few seasons of Young Sheldon, but then, it's like life gets in the way, as they like to say. I just kind of fell off of it a little bit, but I definitely plan to kind of go back and get caught up with those couple of seasons, because that's kind of what happens sometimes. Like in the last week, I crushed through the final few episodes of season 2 of the morning show just so I can get caught up with season 3 of the morning. I'm so all over the place right now.
Wow.
I'm all over the place.
We got to work on you.
Yeah. So Young Sheldon, got to get back into it because It's ending.
Georgie's living out in the garage now. Sheldon's got the room all to himself. His sister has another room, and she's the woman who plays, or the young girl who plays the sister, said she was in a booster seat when they started the series, and now she's like a teenager. So anything can happen. But next week I've got, we'll be flush with a lot of things for a few weeks here. I've got interviews with the cast of Shogun, which is going to be one of the big miniseries of the year. It's coming on FX, 10-part miniseries. It's a remake, or really a revisal of the original one. If you remember, Richard Chamberlain starred in one in the 1980s, and they left out things from the book. Well, this is bringing things back and giving it a different sensibility so you can understand it now. But we've got actors from that, and they've got some interesting things to say. That's next week.
Excellent. Looking forward to hearing some more of your interviews. I know a lot you've covered in the last week with your trip out there. We've got the Oscars coming up in a few weeks. So much story to tell. So looking forward to catching up with you again. When
I need to make a list of all of the interviews. It's not sad that I didn't write it down as I was doing them. This is the matter of looking at each tape that I have and then go, who is that talking? Not unlike somebody else who wondered who was talking when he got the tape earlier today on young Sheldon.
That's right. All right, Bruce. Well, thank you again. And thank you, the listener, for tuning in to another episode of Streamed and Screened.
Be warned that once you pick up a refreshingly cold drink from McDonald's and people see just how refreshingly cold that drink from McDonald's is, you may create drink envy. Because there are drinks, then there are drinks from McDonald's.
For a morning brew that really creates a stir, get any size iced coffee, including caramel and French vanilla, for just 99 cents before 11 a.m. Price and participation may vary, cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.